I've spoken before about the fear we see today. Some of it stoked by increasingly political polarization in the world. Our industry and Blackrock have been a subject of political dialogue, mostly in the United States. We recognize some of this with being the industry leader. We have done a better job now of telling our story so that people can make decisions based on facts, not on lies and not on misinformation or politicization by others. Unfortunately, there's still others out there who put short-term politics, who continuously lie about these issues. They're putting those issues above the long-term fiduciary responsibilities.
Smells like victory.
Okay, folks, so Blackrock CEO Larry Fink, the well-deserved surname there, melts down as profits plummet over woke ESG agenda. Wow, color me shocked, huh? You think an unsustainable agenda of social justice, trying to integrate that into a financial system to force behavior, as he says, that's his new ground, that I am the moral authority now. I don't just do business. I tell people what their morals will and won't be, and I don't ask them. Remember, he never asked. He just said, we do forced behavior. Okay, that's who the Fink is right here. So Blackrock CEO Larry Fink suffered a meltdown during an earnings call over the company losing billions, glorious, of dollars in contracts due to the international asset manager's woke environmental, social, and governance agenda. So absolute compliance to their version of morality, right? And a recording from the call has emerged online and revealed Fink imploded while raging over the Texas Board of Education, canceling $8.5 billion in contracts with Blackrock. Wow, Larry, were you the last to figure out that ESG just is a big turd and nobody likes it? That's why they love this shareholder capitalism. We don't want stakeholders to have a play in this. We love shareholder stuff. As Slay News reported, Texas joined several states in blocking their funds from going to Blackrock due to the company's ESG agenda. Hooray! During the call, Fink lost his cool as he complained about lies and misinformation regarding Blackrock's agenda. So when you see these two words and he's like lies and misinformation, that means it's probably true. We've been telling the truth about him and he's pissed that we found out. How dare those plebes find out what we're doing in our ivory towers? Well, eventually the day comes, my friend Larry. We have done a better job now of telling our story so that people can make decisions based on facts, not on lies and not on misinformation or politicization by others. You're the guy who politicized finance. You politicized all your assets and the companies who bought into this. This was you, Larry, who came up with this idea. Boy, Fink said this during the first quarter earnings call. Unfortunately, there's still others out there who continuously lie about these issues. So he lost his cool. I don't know. That's always a good day for me. When Larry Fink has to start facing reality here. Texas State Board of Education Chairman Aaron Kinsey severed ties between Blackrock and the Texas Permanent School Fund last month. More states should be doing this. More states should be doing exactly this. The move sought to punish the company for allegedly boycotting oil and gas as part of its ESG initiative. Fink, a board member at the World Economic Forum, of course, has denied the allegation, however. In a statement last month, Kinsey said, BlackRock's dominant and persistent leadership in the ESG movement immeasurably damages our state's oil and gas economy. BlackRock's destructive approach toward the energy companies that this state and our world depend on is incompatible with our fiduciary duty to Texans. Yeah, so here's the statement right here. I mean, we're not going to look at the whole thing, but you get the gist of it. We're severing ties. We're not going to include BlackRock we're going to pull our funding to BlackRock from the Texas School Fund. So this is a great move. Meanwhile, Fink claims that BlackRock has never supported divesting from traditional energy firms. That sure doesn't seem to be the message, though, and it just doesn't. So I think what he's saying is we never really wanted to do that. We're just virtue signaling for everybody else so we can gather their money too. We just did all this so we could avoid the fallout from Occupy Wall Street ages ago. So we started several things, a culture war, we started division. We figured Marxism was super useful and we could just blackmail investors rather than doing things, well, maybe a little more honestly, okay? But he knows he's been involved. This morality stand that he takes with ESG, this is just, as we know now, it's just simply a way to blackmail all the companies that they manage. Okay, well, we're just not going to invest in you if you don't buckle down and triple down on this transgender agenda. Things like that. Bud Light got that treatment. He argues that BlackRock currently has $300 billion invested in such companies. According to Yahoo Finance data, BlackRock's stock is down overall in 2024 amid a growing backlash over its woke agenda. Meanwhile, the S&P 500 has risen about 8% in recent months. Let's look at some things here. So Stop Woke Culture says, golly, that rant of Larry Fink's doesn't sound like one where customer service is king. It's not. He hates the customers, by the way. All the customers that created the companies over which he oversees their assets, he absolutely loathes them. Yep, he does not believe in customer service. He believes in forced behavior, though, right, without asking. BlackRock should be broken up. Yeah, I don't know why antitrust hasn't gone after him yet. Well, maybe it's because BlackRock basically writes the 5-year plans for the Treasury and the Federal Reserve. Maybe that's why they don't do anything about it. Here's something kind of interesting. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. reveals shocking truths about the Ukraine-Russia war. U.S. could have avoided the conflict by keeping NATO out of Ukraine, but instead, defense contractors and companies like BlackRock are profiting from the chaos. Meanwhile, the government spends billions on Ukraine while domestic issues like homelessness remain unaddressed. Well, of course, because remember, about a year ago, they were already like, okay, we're going to help. BlackRock came up with the plan to financially help rebuild the Ukraine. That's because the profits will be immense. Now, the deaths, don't worry about how many people have been killed, how many innocent people have been killed on both sides of this conflict. No, never mind that. BlackRock's got a lucrative couple of contracts here. So let's listen to this.
We then committed another 24. This is a war that should have never happened. It's a war the Russians tried repeatedly to settle on terms that were very, very beneficial to Ukraine and us. The major thing they wanted was for us to keep NATO out of the Ukraine. The big military contractors want to add new countries to NATO all the time. Why? Because then that country has to conform its military purchases to NATO weapon specifications, which means certain companies, Northrop Grumman, Raytheon, General Dynamics, Boeing, and Lockheed, get a trapped market. In March of 2022, we committed $113 billion. Just to give you an example, we could have built a home for almost every homeless person in this country. We then committed another $24 billion since then, 2 months ago, and now President Biden's asking for another $60 billion. But the big expenses are going to come after the war, when we have to rebuild all the things that we destroyed. Mitch McConnell was asked, can we really afford to spend $113 billion to Ukraine? He said, don't worry. It's not really going to Ukraine.
It's going to American defense manufacturers.
So he just admitted it's a money laundering scheme. And who do you think owns every one of those companies? BlackRock. So Tim Scott, during the Republican debate, said, don't worry, it's not a gift to Ukraine, it's a loan. So raise your hand if you think that that loan's ever getting paid back. Yeah, of course it's not. So why do they call it a loan? Because if they call it a loan, they can impose loan conditions. And what are the loan conditions that we impose on? Number one, an extreme austerity program, so that if you're poor in Ukraine, you're going to be poor forever. Number two, most important, Ukraine has to put all of its government-owned assets up for sale to multinational corporations, including all of its agricultural land, the biggest single asset in Europe. Ukraine, there's been 1,000 years of war fought over that land. It's the richest farmland in the world. It's the breadbasket of Europe. 500,000 kids almost, Ukrainian kids, have died to keep that land as part of Ukraine. They almost certainly didn't know about this loan condition. They've already sold 30% of it. The buyers were DuPont, Cargill, and Monsanto.
God dang.
Who do you think owns all of those companies? Yeah, BlackRock. And then in December, President Biden gave out the contract to rebuild Ukraine. And who do you think got that contract? BlackRock. So they're doing this right in front of us. They don't even care that we know anymore, because they know that they can get away with it. And how do they know that? Because they have a strategy. And that strategy is an old strategy, which is they keep us at war with each other. They keep us hating on each other. They keep the Republicans and Democrats fighting each other, and black against white, and all these divisions that they sow.
Wow, that was impressive. Man, that's one hell of a Kennedy ad. I'll give him massive kudos on that. Do I agree with everything Kennedy, all his viewpoints? Of course not. But boy, he nailed it right there. Man, that was excellent. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot. That's for another whole video right there. But let's see. Okay, so let's look at something else here for a minute. That was significant, and I would say that as you can see, BlackRock. Well, I don't have to say it. Obviously, if you don't know by now that BlackRock owns most of world corporations right now, then you've been living in the dark. This stuff, of course. The little people like me, of course this makes us happy, because this is the same guy, as I've said, who said, no, we're going to do forced behavior. Meanwhile, you're doing sketchy stuff. You're involved in a war that's killed up to 500,000 Ukrainians, soldiers, and you're involved in this, and yet you're grandstanding like you're the moral authority, imposing this new socially re-engineered system of morality on us, which isn't really morality, it's perversion and deviation. That's all it is. It's of course they love it because it's godless too, and that's convenient for them. And it's a way to kind of impose like a corporate communism type of structure. It is strange, it is bizarre, I know, but here we are. So people have said about Larry Fink's meltdown, your tears are delicious. May your Marxist, fascist, communist, Maoist political systems die in a fire. Good. Hope he loses more. Who'd have thunk that money managers need to manage money and not bullshit agendas? Which is exactly right. That forced behavior thing, that gets my goat, because I'm like, wait, so you're imposing a morality system on us? Yet you're some of the most immoral individuals on the face of the earth, as could be seen from Robert Kennedy's video right there, demonstrated who they really are behind the scenes. They love their money. And they will go to hell and back for a little bit of profit. Am I against capitalism? No. Am I against crony capitalism and this shareholder stuff? Absolutely. But Larry Fink is so wonderful, according to Larry Fink, Karen says. Fink has backed and promoted ESG from its beginnings in Davos. But it looks like super special Larry Fink is passing off his agenda as woke to blame the neoliberals for his plan. So what happened? DEI was his idea. I don't buy BlackRock ETFs. I try not to buy Vanguard either. Everyone should do the same. And remember, that's where their beginnings came from, was simply people investing into these retirement plans, like with Vanguard and BlackRock, and mandated retirement plans by most states. Most states were adopting the Vanguard retirement plans, whichever one it was at the time, 2035, 2015, whatever they want to call it. And they started adopting that and investing their money. So the mountain that they built their empire on is actually the mountain of taxpayers. The mountain of US citizens is where they built their empire on our work. We went to work, we did our jobs. These guys built this on our retirement funds and our investments into 401k. And now they turn around and tell us that we should be forced into certain behaviors, okay, according to the ESG DEI industrial complex, right? So Mark Newman, a CFA, says, my shiny object has disappeared. Okay, on to Bitcoin, as they are doing. My shiny object has disappeared, so now we are going to create an ETF, Bitcoin ETF. BlackRock has done this. Fink misled investors, failed fiduciary responsibility, and grifted everyone. He blew risk to the moon. Cares not a whit about ESG, just AUM, fees, and monopolistic power. Does AUM stand for gold? I don't know. I've been saying this for years. Now the chickens are coming home to roost. I've been rereading Mises' stuff. He'd have laughed his ass off at the thought of ESG. It's the financial scam of our generation. I'm not against ES or G. I'm against the Wall Street saying good versus doing good. ESG ruse led by Fink and Gore. Well, yeah, and one thing he says there that I think was interesting, is that Elon Musk had mentioned this once. He says, you know, the creation of index funds, that was difficult for money managers, asset managers. They couldn't compete with index funds. And so they just couldn't compete with how successful it was. So they came up with ESG as one way to go, well, we can't defeat it financially. So what we'll do is we'll create a system of moral blackmail. Okay, and we'll create this ESG system. And I agree. I don't think Larry Fink could care less about environment, social justice, governance. I don't think he gives two shits about that. He gives two shits about the bottom line, which is money. So let's see. Fantastic. I hope he choked on his ESG requirements and his anger. He needs to be gone. Too little, too late, BlackRock. Larry literally created the Frankenstein DEI monster himself, and now it runs loose in town, wreaking all sorts of havoc. Sorry about your luck, bro. Woke capitalism was off the menu the moment the elite's weapons turned on them. I'd like to hear the phone call Larry got from his masters that day in October. That dude, you mean Satan? That dude is probably wincing every time his private jet takes off. Good, couldn't happen to a better guy. Let's see. And so anyway, you get the point. I think those are some excellent points, actually. So it's coming full circle, and it's just nice. You know what? Smells like victory. That's the video I wanted to throw in there. Is it victory? I don't know. You know, it may not be exactly, but these little things always help. Because we're constantly, it seems like constantly under the thumb of these strange individuals that are very cognitively disconnected with the actual populace, who think they're the masters of the universe. And here he is right here, this ginger, Larry Fink. So anyway, let me know what you think, folks. Any comments are welcome. And please put a like on the video if you like it, and please subscribe. And I will talk to you folks later. Bye.